Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Stamping A to Z. I'm Linda Gibbs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Canada. And this is my weekly live on Wednesdays called Stamping A to Z. It started out going through all the products from A to Z, how to use them, and different ways of how to use them. So I've gone through all the A to Z. Of course, we always have new products coming out, so I do pull them out and show you how to use them, and maybe ways that you haven't thought how to use them. And it always involves techniques. So it doesn't mean that you need that product specifically to do what I'm showing you how to do. You can pull out anything that you have and do kind of the same stuff with it. So hopefully this is not only useful to show you how to use your new stuff, but hopefully it'll inspire you to pull out your old stuff and get crafting. So if you're watching and you're crafting with me, or you just are watching, please say hi. Let me know you're watching. I do try to watch my comments. The past little bit, my iPad has been freezing up. It still shows me comments, so I don't always see what I'm showing you. So I hope that, let me know if I'm like out of the frame and you can't see what I'm doing. I do try and keep an eye on my phone, but it's hard to, do it all. So anyways, I'm going to get you turned around right away and we're going to start playing. So let's do the awkward with my hands in your... That wasn't very smooth, was it? All right. Okay. I don't want you to have the glare from the lights here, and the sun decided to pop out all of a sudden, which is awesome. But sometimes it makes for some glare that we don't necessarily want, but we will try here and see what we can do. All right, it's up, it's going. We'll see how long I last without freezing up. Okay, so today I have chosen to play with the Adoring Hearts set. It comes with 3 things instead of, most bundles come with 2, with like a stamp set and a die. Hang on, sorry, I've been making a mess of things here. So this is the die set. There are pieces missing out of it because we will be using them. And so this is what a normal bundle, the usual bundle comes out as. But this time there's the embossing folder. So it has the hybrid embossing folder, which is not totally new. We have had this in the past. It's just always fun when there's an extra piece because there's that much more that you can do with it all. And it all matches, and it's just really fun to be able to play with. Now with this one, the stamps don't necessarily stamp into this. You can stamp this heart into these hearts kind of thing, and there's some cutout hearts, there's some leaves, there's little hearts, there's this nice banner that does go with the Just For You. It matches that swerve, and then there's some extra little hearts. Now the nice thing with this is even though it's not a suite, because it's celebration, where's my celebration catalog here, you can earn, so say you were to purchase this Adoring Hearts bundle, which is the bundle costs $73.75, and with every $60 you spend, you get to choose a free item out of here. So there's some items that are $120 and there's some that are $60, and there just happens to be the Adoring Hearts bundle, not the Adoring Hearts bundle, Most Adored 12 by 12 Specialty Designer Series paper. That is, I mean, it's not a complete match, but it is just meant to go with it. It complements it. How about that? There's beautiful gold foiling in it, and there are the flowers, and there's some larger, hang on, let me find the larger flowers here. These go with these flowers, so that is that's nice that it all matches. And then you've got all the colors. You've got Flirty Flamingo, and you've got, oh, shoot. Flirty Flamingo, Real Red, and Gold. And I just realized, so I had planned what I was doing. I had an idea in my head what I was doing today, and I hadn't gotten down to actually making them until this morning. And I got my 2 cards done, and then I had the 3rd one, and I couldn't think. I totally reinvented one from scratch, which is okay, but it's not great. And I had a whole other card planned that had a whole other technique. Anyways, maybe I'll have to do an extra video or just post it. It's a fun one though, so maybe we'll do it in club. So for my club people, which is tomorrow actually, we are using the Adoring Hearts bundle. And so these ones are different than what we're doing in club. This is more if you have this stuff to make these cards, but you can do it with other stuff. You don't need this stuff to make it. It just, it's a continuation of that. And I actually, some of the cards, it's like, oh, I should have done this for club, but I can't do it for club unless you have the stuff, if you know what I mean. So anyways, that is where I'm going with this today. So my first card is just going to show you basic how to use this and what you can do with it. And then we're going to get into the more fun. Wow, my comments disappeared. Sorry, I saw you were there, Linda. I saw your hello, and then it's gone. So hopefully that's all you said. All right, so for the first card, oh my goodness, I'm talking too fast and my mouth doesn't want to keep up with my, see, now I've lost what I'm saying. My mouth isn't keeping up with my brain. My brain isn't keeping up with my mouth. Okay, so I've got 2 pieces of paper. I cut them 6 by 6. Now, 6 by 6 is not ideal when you're cutting our paper. It ends up wasting unless you're using other pieces. Like, as long as you keep your other pieces to use to die cut and use as strips, whatever, it's fine. If you're a person who doesn't like to do that, you can totally cut this at 5.5 and it will fit. So the embossing folder is 6 by 6, but it will fit at 5.5. You'll just cut off, like you won't have the beautiful border, which unless you're going to keep it and use the border with all the hearts, it really doesn't matter. So 5.5 works if you want to cut your piece of paper in half. I'm just showing you the whole thing so you see kind of what it does. Actually, I'm going to move this because I'm going to be pulling in my Big Boss and there won't be room. All right, so when we have a hybrid embossing folder, that means usually that there's usually a big die involved that fits within the embossing folder. So normally this is kind of the raised and this, well, they're both technically raised, I guess. You know what? I just realized it fits both ways. I wonder if I've been cutting it. Because I've been cutting it on this side, as you can tell. But I wonder if it's actually reversible. I'm just discovering this. Hang on. I think you could probably cut it either way. So you could have it raised up or down. Huh. Because the heart, okay, you know what? I've been running it this way, but I'm going to switch it up. Maybe I should read the instructions. Because normally it's not like a equilateral kind of thing, and it only fits on one side. I wonder if they realized they did that. It says to do it on the top. Oh no, your cardstock on the top. Lay the die around the negative image in the embossing folder. Place your cardstock on top. Okay, so the negative image would be this part. So you are supposed to run it through this way. So I've been doing it right. But I'm wondering if you could do it the other way. I just don't want to wreck my plate. But it isn't really, I mean, both of them would be sitting inside the groove. Anyways, I'm going to do it this way because that's the way it's supposed to be. It's kind of more flush that way. Hello, Yolande. So first I'm going to run it through with a piece of cardstock so you can see what that looks like. If I can find my cutting plates. Where did they go? I just had them. I was just using them. There we go. Okay. Oh, I don't need my cutting plates. Silly me. So for this one, this is a 3D embossing folder. So for this one, you're going to use your 3D plate. And you're just going to run it through. Maybe I should raise up my camera because I'm awfully close for you guys to see. But anyways, so when we run this through, now if you don't run it through with the die, you would have a solid piece like so. I don't know if you can see it here, all the nice texture. And because I ran it through with the die, all my hearts are cut out. So I can use this piece, or I can use these pieces, or I can use both. You could cut out 2 different colors and mix and match them. You could do all sorts of stuff. Then, I know you've seen me do this before, but I wanted to remind you, and our first card is gonna have using the vellum. So when we emboss vellum, it always makes such a pretty texture. It's just super, super pretty. So I've got a piece of vellum cardstock, and then I'm doing the same sandwich as before. And we will run it through. And then we've got these beautiful vellum hearts, or even a beautiful kind of background with the hearts. Now you can also, with our wonderful new brayer, we can brayer and get colors pressed in, which I'm going to do on another card. So we will get there. I'm just getting ahead of myself. And okay, so then not only if you've got your vellum and you've got your cardstock, you can really make it pop even more. So I've got that, and then I'll bring back my hearts here. And then you can see if you lay them into one another. Now you could use a flat, I think I have some flat hearts that I cut out. I want to show you the difference. And so flat heart to vellum is pretty because you get that white kind of, and you could use it either way. You can use it with it up or with it down, since you don't have the other piece. Now, if you're using this piece, you can fit them into one another, and then the white really pops against the red. I don't know if it's necessarily more so, but it's just kind of a different look. So it depends maybe what the look is. It really, there's not a huge difference. I find the difference is in gluing. It makes it easier to glue if you're popping it into the, but if you go this way, it's still not that big a difference. So I think the easiest way to glue is to have it nested inside. That's just me. And then glue is your best friend for this. Oh. And I just decided to do the little berries here And that way, because they get darker if you really push them in. So it could just look like you've got the berries colored. And that's what's going to hold it down. Like so. And then they're glued together and they're not going to go anywhere. You can do the same thing with this one, I did the glue on these little dots and I just did a line around. And then with the heart one, it's super easy to put it on the heart if you want to accentuate the heart. Or you can do, I did the edge around because it's nice, but I did it on the vellum side because it's like there's a groove and I just followed the groove. But you can do the same thing and just do the heart. So that, because I think I found that the outline ended up being a little too much. And you can do both hearts here and then they'll just kind of pop. You could do a bunch of the pieces so that it pops all over, but here you can see your little hearts are a bit more red than the rest, so it kind of is a different bit of a look. All right, so that's the gist of how to use the hybrid embossing folder. Then I've got a piece of the adoring, what did I say it's called? Most Adored is the Celebration Designer Series paper, and it's beautiful paper. I could keep it white with my red and add my hearts, but you can also, when it's foiled like this, you can color on top of it and then just rub it off with a tissue. And you can get a whole, actually, you know what? We learned this last week with our glass mat. It's much easier to put the color on here and smoother, right? And then just kind of come on and bring the color up like so. Much more control, except for when you bend the paper. You can go as high. I'm kind of doing kind of like an ombre kind of look here. As I bend it. Okay, and then I showed, like, it's best if you use all of your ink, of course. But if you don't, you can just wipe it up with the nice chamois here. But because I still have quite a bit of ink, I'm going to take just a baby wipe to wipe the bulk of it. Because otherwise this way I have a clean, and I actually saw someone else. I hate to cut things, but they cut their chamois in half. And then one is kind of, you know, the more ink, and then one is more to clean at the end. I don't know if I could cut it. So maybe if they start selling the chamois, I'll buy a second chamois. But isn't that pretty, even with it colored? So this is the one I messed up on. I went back to the basics, and I had a whole other plan going on what I was going to do, and I completely forgot. I don't know. My brain just, I was at the Oilers game last night. It was so loud. Luckily, I brought some earplugs, and I had extras because Mike ended up using them too. It was so loud with those Toronto guys. They were loud and obnoxious until the third goal of the Oilers, and then they shut right up. It was actually kind of funny. We had some really obnoxious people next to us, and boy, they were sulking as soon as the third goal came in. All right, then, did I glue all this down? I did. I can just put some dots. So Yolande, you were asking me what I was doing yesterday, and well, I didn't know I was going to the Oilers game. I really waffled because I had such a bad headache before I went. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to go. And then I took a Tylenol, and then having the earplugs just kind of, I made it through. It was okay. It was good. So there you go. There's our first. You have the absorber XL. Oh, yeah, I guess I could use like a chamois of other sorts too. Instead of always using baby wipes. That would be better. So isn't that cute? And then, I mean, I could add a sentiment, which I did not pre-cut. So I'll add the sentiment and then I'll post the, because everybody knows how to stamp. And you're going to see the sentiment that I'll probably add anyways on the next card. Let's just keep this moving because sometimes these can get kind of long. All right, Flirty Flamingo, away you go. Next up is kind of what I was heading towards with the whole idea of inking up your embossing folder. So let's grab, now I told myself not to do what I did because I put my embossing folder away and I was like, I'm going to lose this. And then I'm going to take a piece of paper again. I'm going with 6x6 because that's what I cut. And then, so there's a couple things you can do. And I'm just trying to decide. I'm going to start first. Hang on. Hold, please. I'm going to pull out. So I made myself a stencil. And Yolande, you gave me a brilliant idea yesterday. When you said that your stencils are Yupo paper, I've always tried to make stencils by cutting out the window sheets, and they are so hard to cut, and it makes a mess, and it's not a nice smooth edge. And so I had some Yupo paper from something I was trying to do that you taught me. I don't even remember what I had it for. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and see if it just cuts out with the dies. And so I cut out the hearts on Yupo paper, and it's kind of plasticky. So you can see I've got color on here, but I actually had done this petal pink to start, and then I went to do another project with different colors, and it was pulling the color in, and I realized I had to wipe it because the ink doesn't sink in. Like, it'll stain it obviously like this, but the ink doesn't sink into it. So it's nice because you can use it over and over again. So now I have the perfect way. Yeah, it was probably for alcohol inks. But now I have the perfect way to make myself stencils, which I've always tried to do. And it drove me nuts. I would just use paper and like they would last for a little bit and then not so much anymore. So yeah, it's been great. So once again, we're going to put some ink on our glass plates. Thank you, Yolande. You know, and it's fun when you can take something and then just come up with a new way of using things. I never would have thought of it. And I had that pad of Yupo paper just sitting there anyway, so why not? But if you do not have Yupo paper, you can just use a piece of cardstock. I would, if you're going to be doing a lot of inking, like say if you were just going to ink this. So one option you have, instead of doing this part of it, if you don't want to go through this trouble, you could take the brayer and you could ink the whole background. I don't really like, at least for this, I don't like the way you get kind of lines. It's not like a nice smooth kind of washy look, which is what I like, or what I'm looking for this. So I did brayer. I wonder if I still have some in the background. I did brayer one, and I can use the brayer if you want to see it on the back or something. But I also, because I decided to heat emboss in the end. So I rather than put it on my glass mat, I'm just going to take some here. Because I decided to heat emboss, your paper gets a lot more soaked with ink too. So I didn't want to have to wait so long for it to dry. So with the blending brush, you're getting less ink on it, which is good. All right, so I've got my hearts stenciled here. And I do want to wipe this. I don't know if you can see. It's kind of, you can see where there's extra ink. And because it's light, you're not going to see. When it was all white and I was wiping it, you could really see that I was taking off the ink. But anyways, I just want to take off the majority of the ink because when I go in to brush other colors on, I don't want it to bring in the orange if I'm using, I don't know, a blue or and then it looks green or, you know. So I'm gonna just hit this with my heat tool on the lighter setting because we don't have time to just let it sit and dry. I don't want to warp it too much though. That's the downfall to rushing and using your heat tool, is then your paper tends to warp. So I just want to dry it as much as possible. Now, if I wasn't heat embossing, you don't have to worry about this being dry before you go and brayer onto your embossing folder, which let me make sure I still have my embossing folder around. And what am I doing with this? You can, so you could do the whole hybrid thing and cut it out right away when you run it, when you're doing the brayering, but because I'm doing the heat embossing, it's a lot easier if it's one solid sheet. So I'm going to end up running this through twice and you'll see that it works. The stencil, it's just, I cut out the hearts from the die, this one, onto Yupo paper. But you can just use regular paper. It's just the Yupo paper will last and I can go over and over because the ink doesn't sink in. Okay, so your options here. I can come in and I can use Petal Pink or even Flirty Flamingo or something darker, and I can ink this up and then I'll get the design onto here. I ended up heat embossing with gold because I wanted to match the paper from the celebration stuff. Bye, Yolande. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later. But if you want to see it with just the ink, I can do it with just the ink. If you have a preference, or maybe I'll do the harder one. I'll do the heat embossing because it's much easier just to put the ink on. And the nice thing too is if you don't get enough ink the first go round, you can re-ink it again. Actually, you know what? I will ink it and then I can emboss it again afterwards on top because I just want you guys to see what it looks like. All right, so I'm going to use the same color. I'm just going to try and get it darker. I'm going to take my brayer and I'm just going to roll it on here. And I'm not really worried about the whole background because I'm gonna end up cutting out these hearts anyways. Let's just move this so we don't get ink on it. Just want to make sure get ink everywhere. And the thing with the brayer is because it's hard, it doesn't sink in and get ink on to the other parts of the embossing folder. So if you were using the entire embossing folder and wanted to keep it nice and clean, it would stay nice and clean. Oops, what am I sticking to here? Then I'm going to take my paper. Now this is a bit difficult because I did not do the whole background. So I do want to line it up as best I can onto the hearts, like so. And then I'm just going to run it through my big boss here. Okay. And then we'll get that ta-da moment. Ta-da! So we've got, I probably should have wet my paper. It's pulling. Because, you know, if you don't wet your paper, it does break it a little bit. So you can see it's not totally solid. If you wanted a really solid look, you could go back and do it again. And the nice thing is now that it's embossed, you can just kind of slide it into place and it'll fit there, and then close it, and then off you go. But I'm going to dry this, and I'm going to actually show you that you can use it with the Versamark and your heat embossing powder. So let me just wipe this. It's not wiping. Let's use our handy dandy chamois. It'll be easier to get in the, as I shake this table. I'm hoping that when I get my new desk that it, I guess it's this, I'd have to hold down my cameras in a different way maybe so that it doesn't shake so much. I like to make people seasick. All right, let's just give this a little shot of heat, not too much. Our glass mat that's heat resistant. It's so nice to be able to just put it down, not hold it in the air and burn my fingers. Now, oh, this isn't going to work as well because it's already embossed. Actually, maybe. We'll see. We will see how this looks. So normally I would do this from the flat, how it was before. I'm going to run my embossing buddy here to make sure that the powder doesn't want to stick anywhere but where it's supposed to. Then we're going to do the same thing as before, only this time we're going to use Versamark. So I need to wipe my chamois here. We don't want... Luckily, I'm going to use my dirty old Versamark, so it's not the end of the world if I get color in it, but this is the harder one to do because you can't see what you've put on. So you just have to really go crazy with your ink and hope. You'll know once you put the powder on, of course, but then that's kind of too late to, you could, I mean, you can do the same as with the ink. You could heat and melt the embossing powder and then redo it again if it's not even enough, but I just try to go over it and over it so that it's happy. Then I'm going to try and get this locked in here so it's in the right spot. And then we're going to run it through again. And I'm still not going to cut it in the hybrid form because I still want to use the embossing powder, which is much easier to do in one than to do them all separate. Okay. Then we're going to pull out our gold embossing powder. And we'll pull this out. So I'm going to be covering up the inking. That was just to show you another thing that you can do. It's not part of the sample. So you can see, you can even ink, like it's inking the surroundings of the little hearts if you were going to use the background. So it's all... That's pretty good, actually. not bad. Pretty happy with that. Looks like it got in pretty good. All right, I was heavy enough with my Versamark that it stayed. Oh dear, I think I just melted my cord. Okay, then I'm gonna come in and melt all of this. Now, the reverse edge is on the back here, so you can heat from the back, and then you're getting where the powder is to help it out, but you don't want to put it down on the mat because then you might rub off some of the, I just like to heat up the back of the paper to help it because it is in that indented groove. I wish there was a way of keeping my heat tool nice and hot for the video. Now you can see I'm slightly off on my parts. I did not need to stencil those. It was just kind of a lazy way of getting the color down. I could have done an extra, if I'm not using the background, I could have done extra, like a circle of color to make sure that my heart looked centered, but that's okay. Oh my goodness, this is taking a while. It's just, I might have to do the magic of television. Set this aside. Okay, I'm gonna do the magic of television. And I'm dropping all my stamps. I'm gonna set this aside. I do have some already done. So pretend I run it through the Big Shot with the cutter this time in the hybrid. And it all cuts, so you're lining it up easily. I just do it back in the embossing folder again with the die cut. And then with the magic of television, we have the pre-embossed ones from before. So we've got the leaves, the hearts, and some more leaves. And then I didn't do them all. I was being lazy. And then I cut out some hearts with the petal pink, with this piece, which is nice because it makes a bunch of hearts for you all at once. I did cheat. So there is an envelope in the current mini catalog. If you don't already have one, I took this from a retired set. So there have been envelopes before, but this one's on my list now. I've seen such cute stuff. So there's a die cut envelope if you're looking for one, or you can make your own if you are creative and good at that. I don't know if I would do it myself. And then it has the nice stitching too, but that's assuming you have. I wonder if I was supposed to do it this way. I used it this way. Oh well, I'm going to use it this way even though it's a little bit small. And then you can glue them together. You can use a glue dot. I'm just going to use a glue dot for the sake of time. Okay. And we will put it down here and there. And then we've got our glue dot holding it together. Right? Isn't this a nice sweet? It's awesome. And then I've used the perennial postage die to make this. And this is part of the, why can't I remember? The Most Adored Designer Series paper. I don't see even this side's cute, but I always have a hard time covering up the foiled part because to me that's like, it just has that extra oomph to it. So again, you could blender brush or brayer over top and give this color. I went with the white. I'm good with that. Just depends how much color you want. Okay, and then I put it on. So the background is crumb cake, if you're wondering what that is. So I've used crumb cake and petal pink. My brain really just does not want to work today. I might actually, I don't know if I want them all pink. I meant to not do that. Then I'm going to glue my envelope down. Kind of centered between the two edges, and then a little bit from the bottom. And then my hearts are going to come out of the envelope. So on the first one, I'm just gluing it down. And then on the next two, I'm going to use dimensionals. So on my sample, I had a white one without the gold, and I liked it. What do you think? All gold or one without? Oh, can't see what I'm doing. Sorry. Oy vey's. I think I'm going to go that route. I wish it was all white, but I think I do have an all white one cut out here. Maybe that's too white though. What do you think? All white? No, all white doesn't show enough. I'm gonna go with this. Okay, so that's weird because on my screen on my iPad, it shows that I'm in screen, but then you're saying you can't see. And I'm not frozen for once. Boy, I can't win. Maybe I was further down. Okay, there. And then I'm just going to put a couple extra hearts. There and there. And then we have our little banner pre-cut through the magic of television. And we can stamp, one of the ones that fell down. We can stamp the just for you. Now in my sample, I did it with gold embossing powder, but I'm just thinking maybe I'll do just black or crumb cake. I think just black. Can find. Let's see what that looks like. Because I still have a whole other card to do. Can't be wasting time heat embossing. It's not a waste of time. It's always beautiful. Oh yeah, that works. Okay, and then I'm just gonna put two little minis and put adhesive across there. And voila. Then we just have to, should we go straight down or pop it up? Well, I'll just pop up the corners. 1, 2, 3, Okay. And voila, card number 2. So, you know, you can do the simple, I mean, it's simple. You can do the simpleness of the embossing and cutting, but it's still a real big wow. Then you can add an extra wow by doing that extra step of brayering some ink onto your embossing folder. And you can brayer the ink on either side of the embossing folder. It will just end up with either the reversed image or the, so instead of being, your color would be around the leaves, like it would be opposite. So it just depends on the look you're going for. So that's number 2. The third one is a fun one. So I was kind of focused on the stenciling techniques. So this one doesn't focus as much on the embossing folder and the fact that it's a hybrid. This is more bringing in a stencil, so making your own stencil and then doing something with it. So you can do this with any die cut that you have. And then for this one, we need a whole bunch of ink. You don't need this much ink. I went crazy. So I'm gonna use 2 purples, 2 blues, 2 pinks, and 2 yellows, because I want light and dark. But really, you can just put 2 layers to get the light and the dark if you don't have that many colors. So don't worry. You can always make the same look with less. This is just kind of the lazy man, lazy lady to going to work. Okay, so here I've got a pre-cut, another perennial postage. Oh, but I got color on it. Oh well. I wonder if I should do, the one I did was this way, and I just did 2. I'll do the same thing. No use reinventing the wheel. Okay, so I'm going to tape this bottom part down, and I'm going to use the grid of my glass mat to make sure that it's straight. So then when I'm trying to line up my stencil, it makes it easier to try and kind of give it an even border. So I want just 2 hearts, like so. And then I'm just going to kind of feel for where the outline is. And then if I line it up on the grid here, I'm pretty sure it's straight. Now, to avoid getting color in here, you can just put some, you could use masking paper or sticky notes, whatever you have handy. So I'm not coloring in those 2. I'm just coloring these 4 hearts. So I'm going to start going rainbow. I'm going to start with the lighter color of each. And I've got my blending brushes for each. And I'm just going to come in. And I can, since I have the 2 colors, I can get pretty heavy with this and not worry. Oh yes, yeah, this is why using the glass mat works so well, but it's just too many colors going down and for a very little amount. So I guess I could just put a really small dab, but either way. Then I'm going to go to the yellow. Move it up a bit. I'll just move my camera down. How about that? Better? Hopefully. Oh, there we go. Okay. Hopefully that's better. And then we've got the yellow. Boy, I haven't had this. I must I must have my camera lower or something. Or you guys just never said anything before. Because I feel like I used to have this problem a lot. I remember Yolanda would be like, move it up, move it down. And then we'll go purple. Got some fresh freesia. Freesia? I don't know. How do you say that? Freesia? Okay. And then a nice bubble bath pink. Let me just, I was last with the berry burst on here, so I don't want it to be too dark. Yep. I feel like the berry burst is coming through, but that's okay. I don't have enough brushes to have color for everything. All right, then the key to the, so I'm going to be using our masking paper, and I have pre-cut this again through the magic of television. I pre-cut my masking paper. I used these hearts from the dies, and I'm going to stick them down. Now, the key to sticking down is that this has to be dry, otherwise it don't stick. So, and I don't want my stencil to move, and you'll see why. So I'm just gonna, I'll start at the blue and work my way around based on when I did them, so hopefully they're dry enough. This will be the test. So I'll take this out. Now the nice thing when you cut the masking paper is if it pulls off of the backing, it usually takes all the little pieces and parts with it. Didn't quite this time, but almost. Okay, oops. Looks like there's a little piece here. Okay. Okay, it's well, it's not sticking that well, but I'm just going to be careful. So if you're doing this not on a video, take your time and let it dry so that your masking paper can stick. Now, I also cut these out of Yupo, and I could try and like hold it, but it's such a small thing. I think masking paper is kind of my best option. And I'm just going to hope that it stays in place. So I'm just being gentle, trying not to, and once it gets pushed down enough, then it'll hopefully, nope, it's coming up. So it's not, it definitely does not stick well when things are wet. So be forewarned, make sure your stuff is dry. Okay, that's number one. Number two, maybe we'll use this one. Oops. Okay, and it all came off, which is perfect. Stick that one down there. Well, that one looks like it's sticking okay. This one is a little less inky. And then for this one, I'm using Daffodil Delight on top of Lemon Lolly. Now, I wanted to use the dies that they had because it's fun, but if you don't, say you have a heart stencil or hearts, you could take masking paper and divide it. You could make like a pattern of some sort and do this same technique. So you can always have fun even if you don't have the same stuff. Okay, that's all just gonna fall right off, which is nice. Don't have to work at poking it all out. Okay. Then I've got Highland Heather. Okay, isn't it pretty? And then the ta-da moment. The ta-da moment. I love the ta-das. Ta-da is the best part. And then we'll peel all that off. And almost all of it came out. Okay, then we can stick it down. You could use all the same pattern if you wanted to. This one's not going to stick. This is just a total mismatch. And this is Berry Burst, which is obviously very inky. Okay, now we get to do the ta-da. Okay, so we'll take off this part of the stencil here. Oh, I didn't get it centered. This is what happens when we rush on camera. Oh well. Okay, then pull off your stencils or your masking paper. Isn't that cool? Ta-da! 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 So now you have a whole new look of hearts. And then I found that the You Are Most Loved just happens to fit beautifully right in that white space. Just gonna hold that there and let it soak into the paper so you get a good print of the sentiment. Isn't that pretty? I love those. I love the stenciling and the kind of the reveal. That's just kind of my happy place. So here is the finished version. I had a bit of a mark, which my mark here is too low, but I wanted to cover it up. So I cut out the little hearts. Oh dear. That are in the die set. And I added one of the hearts from the adhesive backed Hearts and Flowers, which is from the mini catalog. And then I put on the iridescent rhinestones. I think they're in the annual catalog. Anyways, and the nice thing with these iridescent ones is they take on whatever color you put them on. So each one looks like it matches each heart, but really they're just these clear iridescent gems. So those are my projects for this week, even though I meant to do a different one, which would have been lots of fun, but maybe I'll do a whole other live on it because I'm sure I could do lots with it. So I won't reveal what it is. Okay, so here's two of them, and then the third one, which doesn't have a sentiment on it yet, but it will. There you go. Oh, hi, Marcy. I didn't know you were watching. Those are the fun cards for this week, and we will be making more fun cards tomorrow with this Sweet Fur Club. If you're interested in doing a monthly club, you can always let me know. If you're already part of club, I will see you guys tomorrow at noon. All right, take care. Bye.